The morning of January 29th, 1979, dawned like any other in San Diego, California. Parents kissed their children goodbye, trusting they would return home safely after another ordinary day at Grover Cleveland Elementary School. But across the street, hidden behind a grimy window, a 16-year-old girl crouched in the shadows, her finger curled around the trigger of a .22 caliber rifle. By the time the first shot cracked through the morning air, the illusion of safety would be shattered forever. In less than 10 minutes, 2 men lay dead, 8 children and a police officer were wounded, and America was introduced to a terrifying new kind of violence, one that would, in the decades to come, become horrifyingly familiar. The girl's name was Brenda Spencer, and when a stunned reporter asked her why she had done it, her reply would become infamous. "I don't like Mondays. This livens up the day." To understand Brenda Spencer is to step into a childhood devoid of warmth, stability, or love. Born on April 3rd, 1962, she was the youngest of 3 children in a fractured household. Her parents' marriage was volatile, marked by infidelity and alcohol, and when Brenda was just 9 years old, her mother Dorothy finally left. Brenda stayed with her father, Wallace Spencer, in a home that was less a sanctuary and more a den of neglect. The house was filthy, strewn with empty liquor bottles, and Brenda later claimed she slept on a single mattress with her father, a man she accused of unspeakable abuse. Wallace denied everything, but the damage was done. By the time Brenda reached her teens, she was a simmering cauldron of rage, withdrawn from the world and consumed by violent fantasies. School offered no escape. Brenda attended Patrick Henry High, but she was disengaged, often sleeping in class or skipping altogether. When authorities intervened, sending her to a facility for troubled students, it only deepened her resentment. She despised authority, especially law enforcement, and openly fantasized about killing a cop. "I want to be on TV," she once told a classmate. "I want to do something big." Then, in the summer of 1978, she was arrested for shooting out the windows of Grover Cleveland Elementary, the very school she would later turn into a killing ground. Authorities saw the warning signs. A psychological evaluation recommended immediate hospitalization for depression and suicidal ideation. But her father refused. Instead, that Christmas, he gave her a gift, a Ruger 1022 semi-automatic rifle with a telescopic sight and 500 rounds of ammunition. Brenda would later claim he wanted her to use it on herself. Instead, she turned it on the world. The morning of January 29th was crisp and quiet, the kind of winter day that felt peaceful, until it wasn't. Students arrived at Grover Cleveland Elementary, laughing and chatting, unaware of the danger lurking just across the street. Principal Burton Ragg, a 53-year-old educator known for his kindness, approached the front gate to unlock it. Then, crack. The first shot struck 9-year-old Cam Miller, a child chosen at random simply because he was wearing blue, Brenda's favorite color. Chaos erupted. Principal Ragg, thinking only of the children, rushed to usher them to safety. He never made it. A bullet tore through him, killing him instantly. Custodian Mike Suchar, 56, sprinted toward the fallen, only to be gunned down next. Within minutes, the schoolyard became a nightmare. 8 children were hit, bleeding and screaming. Police officer Robert Robb, just 28 years old, arrived to help, only to take a bullet to the neck, leaving him critically wounded. Brenda fired 36 times in total, her rifle's scope giving her a clear view of every terrified face. Then, as suddenly as it began, the shooting stopped. Brenda barricaded herself inside her home, taunting the police who surrounded her. Negotiators pleaded. Her own parents begged. But Brenda had only one demand: I'll come out shooting. From the moment the first bullet was fired, police knew the shots came from the Spencer residence. Officers scrambled to shield the school, even using a garbage truck as a barricade to block Brenda's line of fire. As the standoff dragged on, a reporter from the Evening Tribune managed to get Brenda on the phone. Her words would become infamous. "Why did you do it?" the reporter asked. Brenda's reply was cold, almost bored. "I don't like Mondays. This livens up the day." It was a statement so callous, so detached, it sent shivers down the nation's spine. After 6 tense hours, police lured Brenda out with the promise of a Burger King meal. She surrendered without another shot fired. Inside her home, investigators found a wasteland of beer and whiskey bottles. Though Brenda showed no signs of intoxication, the truth was even more unsettling. She had planned this. She had chosen her targets, and she felt no remorse. In the aftermath, people scrambled for explanations. Was Brenda abused? Neglected? Mentally ill? She claimed her father bought her the rifle to encourage suicide. She alleged years of sexual abuse. But Wallace Spencer denied it all, calling his daughter a liar. Psychiatrists debated whether she was a product of her environment or simply born broken. Some wondered if she was inspired by violent media. But in 1979, school shootings weren't yet a cultural reference point. Brenda was the reference point. For a time, rumors swirled that she had accomplices. Others speculated she was part of a larger, darker movement. But the truth was simpler and far more terrifying. Brenda acted alone. She wasn't part of a gang. She wasn't indoctrinated. She was just a girl with a rifle and a grudge against the world. The evidence against Brenda was overwhelming. The rifle matched the bullets. Witnesses placed her in the window. Her own words condemned her. Prosecutors had no doubt. She was a killer who needed to be locked away forever. Brenda initially faced 2 counts of murder, 9 counts of attempted murder, and assault with a deadly weapon. But in a deal that shocked many, she pleaded guilty to avoid the death penalty. The attempted murder charges were dropped. On April 4th, 1980, one day after her 18th birthday, Brenda Spencer was sentenced to 25 years to life. Behind bars, Brenda's notoriety only grew. She became a grim footnote in history, the first modern school shooter. In 2001, she gave a jarring interview, admitting, "With every school shooting, I feel I'm partially responsible. What if they got the idea from what I did?" It was a rare moment of self-awareness from a woman who had spent decades deflecting blame. 5 times, she has stood before parole boards, pleading for freedom. 5 times, she has been denied. At her latest hearing in February 2025, survivors and families of the victims spoke out, ensuring Brenda's dark legacy remains where it belongs, behind bars. Her next chance at freedom won't come until 2028. Today, Brenda Spencer's name is etched into the darkest chapters of American history. She didn't just take lives, she ignited a nightmare that continues to haunt classrooms decades later. Was she a product of abuse or simply evil? Did her father's twisted gift seal her fate, or was the darkness always inside her? The questions linger, unanswered. But one thing is certain. On that cold January morning, Brenda Spencer didn't just change her own life. She changed America forever. And the echoes of her gunfire still ring in the halls of schools across the nation. The Grover Cleveland Elementary shooting didn't just end lives, it altered the American psyche. Before Brenda Spencer, school shootings were virtually unheard of. After her, they became a horrifying trend. Experts now point to her case as the beginning of a modern epidemic, one that has claimed countless lives in the decades since. For the survivors, the scars never faded. The children who were wounded that day grew up with physical and emotional wounds that never fully healed. Some became advocates for gun control, while others struggled with PTSD, their lives forever marked by those few minutes of terror. The families of Principal Ragg and Mike Sucher were left to grapple with an unbearable loss, one made even more senseless by Brenda's flippant explanation. Brenda herself became a macabre figure in popular culture. Her infamous quote, "I don't like Mondays," was immortalized in a song by the Boomtown Rats, spreading her notoriety worldwide. True crime enthusiasts and psychologists alike have dissected her case, searching for answers that may never come. Was she a product of a broken system, or was she simply a predator waiting for an opportunity? The legal system, too, was forced to evolve in the wake of her crimes. Brenda's case set precedents for how juvenile offenders were tried, especially in cases of extreme violence. Her plea deal sparked debates about justice and mercy, debates that continue to this day. And then there are the haunting parallels to the present. In 2025, as school shootings continue to plague the nation, Brenda's words from 2001 ring eerily true. What if they got the idea from what I did? It's a question without an answer, shadow that stretches across generations. Brenda Spencer's story is more than just a true crime case. It's a dark mirror held up to society. It forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about mental health, gun control, and the roots of violence. It reminds us that evil doesn't always announce itself with fanfare. Sometimes it's just a troubled girl with a rifle, staring out a window, waiting for the right moment. As long as her name is remembered, so too will be the lives she took and the innocence she destroyed. And as long as these school shootings continue, her legacy, one of violence, despair, and unanswered questions, will endure. The only certainty is this. On that Monday in 1979, Brenda Spencer didn't just change her own fate, she changed ours. And the echoes of that day will never truly fade away.